Now they'll move it to Axe. Look, in the middle, dunk score. The roommates. Ridge to Mormando.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Edvative Learning. If you are an education major or anyone considering a career in teaching, you won't want to miss this. Edvative Learning is an innovative educational consulting company that is revolutionizing the way aspiring teachers prepare for their careers. As a proud sponsor of the Lax Lounge podcast and Cabrini Lacrosse, Edvative is here to help you take your teaching aspirations to new heights. Edvative offers a comprehensive one-on-one coaching program tailored specifically for those interested in entering the teaching profession. With Edvative's coaching program, you'll receive personalized guidance and support to help you succeed in your career. They provide mock interviews, guided job searches, resume optimization, and much more. Their team of experienced educators and career coaches will equip you with the skills and knowledge needed to excel in the competitive world of teaching. One of the most incredible aspects of Edvative's coaching program is their guarantee. Yes, you heard it right. They guarantee at least one job offer within the first 3 months of coaching. That's an amazing opportunity you don't want to miss. For just $250 per month, Edvative guarantees that you will receive at least one job offer. Imagine the peace of mind knowing that your investment in coaching will lead to tangible results. It's an offer you can't afford to pass up. So whether you're a current education major, a recent graduate, or someone looking to make a career change into teaching, Edvative Learning is here to support you and guide you in every step of the way. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to secure your job as a teacher. Visit their website at www.edvative.com to learn more about their coaching program and how they can help you kickstart your teaching career. Once again, that is www.edvative.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lax Lounge. We have a very special guest joining us today. Me and Nick live from the lounge, our usual spots, and we have a local legend around here, kind of rising up the ranks. You might be seeing him on TV in a couple years. We have Jake Bickel joining us today. Jake, how are we, my man?
Good. How are you guys?
So we're going to start it off with a little bit of an icebreaker so we can get to know our guests a lot more. I've been doing it recently. So this is where I hand it over to Sir Nicholas for our Fast Five questions.
All right, yeah. Fast five. 5 simple questions. No more than an answer. Or no more than a sentence.
No more than one answer. You're not allowed to do two.
No more than one sentence of an answer. All right. Favorite ice cream?
Black raspberry.
Okay.
Alrighty. Favorite song right now?
Probably Outlet by Designer.
Okay. Pizza or pasta?
Ooh, pizza.
Good answer.
Good answer. Favorite movie?
Jesus. That's a tough one. Should say Happy Gilmore. Go with a classic.
Good one.
It's hard to mess with Adam Sandler.
Yeah. Who has a better chicken sandwich? Popeyes or Chick-fil-A?
So I've actually never had Popeyes, as crazy as that sounds. But I love Chick-fil-A, so.
Wow. I personally think Popeyes has a better chicken sandwich.
I also had never had Popeyes until 2 years ago. It was with Nate for Thanksgiving. And I had the chicken sandwich. You have to have the chicken sandwich the first time you get a Popeyes. And I went in with the expectation of it's going to be overhyped, whatever. It's legit. It is different. There's something about it.
It's a real piece of fried chicken.
It really is. But you can't count out Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A always hits. We'll get that post game in a lot of our tailgates, like for road trips. Our family will cater it in, and it always goes hard. It's hard to miss, especially. Are you pickles on the sandwich kind of guy?
Yeah.
Good. Good. You're not a pickle guy.
Right? I give you my pickles.
I'm a massive pickle. I'm a pickle finesse.
I'm alright with the flavor being on the bun, but I don't need it on the sandwich.
I need that extra little bite, that acidity. But before we move on, I gotta ask: black raspberry ice cream, your favorite flavor? Where did that come from?
So I don't know if you guys know Handles. It's probably 5 minutes from my house. I don't know. It's close. It's in Berwyn. And their black raspberry is amazing. I feel like rather than pick vanilla or chocolate, which is, you can't miss with vanilla or chocolate, but black raspberry for me is if I don't know what to get and they have it, it's my go-to.
You definitely win the most unique pick.
Yeah, that was very unique.
Everybody says cookie dough, cookies and cream. I'm a cookies and cream guy, but never seen black raspberry as the pick to go with there. Yeah. So starting off with a bang right now. The favorite movie, Happy Gilmore. When was the first time that you saw that movie? Because I have not seen that in years, and I think I remember watching that in like elementary school with a bunch of my buddies, and it's just like with Adam Sandler, it's hard to miss on one of those movies.
Yeah, I feel like I end up watching it like just like twice a year, like randomly, just like sitting on my couch and it's on TV, and I end up watching the whole thing and I don't even realize. First time I probably saw it was probably like like probably middle school, early middle school, I'd say, like fifth or sixth grade. So
Just tap it in.
Yeah, dude, it's
Just
such a
tap
good
it in.
movie. I did a project on it last year for that sports media class. That we
Oh
were
my
together.
god, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I killed it.
With Professor Ed Benkin.
Yeah, B-Dog.
Oh, that was a great class. That was awesome. But so let's start talking a little bit about you, Jake. So tell us and our audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're kind of into. Just like a little. What's the byline on your Wikipedia page when we look up your name in a couple years?
So I'm from Berwyn, live in Berwyn. Originally lived in Phoenixville, but similar area. It's like 15 minutes from here. Brother, sister, mom, dad, live with all them. Love to play lacrosse. It's my main sport, favorite sport. I've been playing since I could walk, probably like since I was 2 or 3. I like to golf outside of lacrosse. Feel like not easy. I find myself always getting annoyed whenever I play golf. I feel like it's impossible to go round a golf without wanting to throw your club in the lake. Um, but yeah, I like to golf. I like to hang out with my friends a lot, mess around, work out, do all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of all around, but love lacrosse and golf.
I love that you mentioned the golf because I did see, for reference, me and Jake just started coaching together on Sundays with Team 10, the 2030 squad. And I saw you more than a few times, like when we'd send the kids over to go get water, you'd be taking practice swings with your stick. And in my head, I was like, damn, like he's got some pretty good form. I'm not a big golfer, but I always love noticing that shit. And I completely agree when you say that it's hard to go an entire round with not like losing your mind. Even if you're just playing casually with like a couple of your friends, I'm a competitive piece of shit and I need to win no matter what.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's just times where you hit a perfect shot, and then the very next shot you have in your head, this is going to be perfect.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then it goes 30 feet the opposite way.
Completely downhill.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, I'll ride my streaks of I'll be the best golfer on the planet for one hole, and then the next hole I'll have a plus 35, and I will lose every single ounce of traction that I got there.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, this is the Lax Lounge. We like to focus on the sport of the lacrosse a little bit. Tell me about the first time you ever picked up a stick when you were younger. Was it so I started in second grade. We're kind of in that area. We're a little bit of a late starter. What's your origin story there for lacrosse?
My dad played growing up. Actually, my dad started in like 7th grade, I think, playing lacrosse when he was a kid. He went to Penn State and played there. And then my uncle played at Syracuse, and he was a part of the big like 2000s team. So he won a few championships. So it's kind of lacrosse has been in like my family a little bit. So growing up, or like when I was able to walk and run a little bit, my dad put a stick in my hands and I'd play all the time. And I've just kind of grown from there. Like I loved it from there. Oddly enough, my favorite sport until like 5th grade was baseball, which coincides with lacrosse because I played both of them at the same time, and I always loved baseball more than lacrosse. And then 6th grade hit, which was my last year of both together, and I had to quit one, and I chose lacrosse. So turned out to be a pretty good choice.
Yeah, definitely.
Happy with that decision.
Why did you end up going with lacrosse? If you said that baseball was your favorite sport, like were you nuts at baseball too?
What position were you?
I played. So when I was younger, I played like first base and catcher because I was tall. And catcher, I feel like, I don't know, it's like tough at that age because we had a pitcher who could like, for 3rd graders, he threw the ball so hard, and I was like the only one that could like I wasn't scared to like just catch the ball. So I ended up a catcher then. And then as I got older, I moved to center field, kind of use my speed out there a little bit. But then I ended up going with lacrosse because once I got to 6th grade, we started playing on a bigger field. And so with the bigger field, like there were less hits, kind of less action. And I found that then it started to kind of get boring to me. And lacrosse is so fast paced. I was like, that's definitely for me more. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like every lacrosse player obviously played baseball at one point in their life and got to a point where they realized it was boring.
I was just about to say, I think the last 4 to 5 people that we've had on have all talked about how we started playing baseball and we got bored and ended up going over to lacrosse.
Yeah, and like even now, like when we talk about it and like talk to a kid and it's like, yeah, I play baseball, and it's like, you should play lacrosse. Baseball's boring.
Literally.
It's just something you remember.
And now that we have programs like starting it so young, like the fact that we work with 20-33s playing the sport of lacrosse, which is first or second grade, and they're starting to get like the basics of the game down so early, it's easy to plug that in for t-ball, because t-ball is very basic and easy for kids to kind of grasp onto as like a, hey, let's do this after school so you can get out of the house, you can try to meet friends and not just sit inside all day. And now that we're trying to be able to transition that to lacrosse and have that be an option, like I think we're going to see more and more people that are getting into the game earlier and just becoming raw. Like I think the future of the sport is going to be crazy.
Amazing. Like even like you said with the teams at Team 10, and like obviously all these other club teams in the country, but like Team 10, like the kids we have on the 33s, the 32s, the 31s, the 30s, like all the way down the line, like a lot of potential.
Yeah, and these guys are most likely going to stick together
Yeah.
for a while. When you were playing youth ball, did you have the same like kind of core group that you were with on your team that like you've been able to develop with throughout that time?
Yeah. So when because it was we kind of started Team 10 in, I think it was in third grade, and it was me and like 13 of my friends. There were 2 guys that were younger, like in the grade below, but they still played up with us. And for like the first 3 years, it was really just that group. And then in like 7th grade, a few still made the team, but we got a new wave of kids that were a lot better. So we kind of morphed into this new group. And I'd say from 7th grade, we've kind of had the same team, give or take a few guys. But there's been, on my team right now, there are 4 other kids that have been there since the start, which is pretty wild to think about.
And so you were on one of the first Team 10 teams?
Yeah, so it was run as like a middle school filler program for Conestoga, which is the public high school, because Team 10 used to be Tredyffrin Easttown Nation, which was 10. And then that kind of fell apart a little bit. So then we added a team to that in their last year, and then they all fell apart. And my dad was like, let's just keep this going and like kind of try to restart it. So then we built it from my team being the oldest, and each year we'd add a team under me and then under that team. And we kept doing that. So yeah, we like restarted it, I'd say.
Wow, I had no idea. I thought Team 10 was like a very new program in the area, which obviously that shows how much I know being an outsider.
I had no idea either.
But when I started working with them 3 years ago now, I want to say, Garling, when he was at Cabrini, he pulled me and John O'Hillison, throwback, into his office, and he was like, yo, like we have this team that we're working with on Sundays, looking for a couple extra coaches. You guys think, or we think you're pretty good fits, like you want to help us out. So I started working with, I think it might have been the 2028s. I believe it was with your team. And we just do that on Sundays at, I think it was Valley Forge Middle School. Like that shitty grass field. It sucked. I was not a fan of it. But we do that on Sunday. Great way to pull in a bunch of money. Work either the 1 or the 2 sessions a weekend. And then last year when the Berwyn Sports Complex opened, that place is drop dead gorgeous. And I still, like, every time that I pull in, I'm like, this just isn't real. Like, this is a club training facility for a youth and high school lacrosse program. It's wild. How long has that been in the works? Do you know? Like, when did that idea kind of come up?
I think the idea came up probably, 4 years ago. My dad and one of his friends, they kind of got the idea, like, let's try to do this. And I know they like went to different schools, different colleges, different other facilities around to kind of see the designs of those facilities and like kind of learn also like what they're doing, because they've never built a facility before. So they kind of, it took them a couple years, kind of just like the planning, like getting to like understand what they actually have to do and stuff. And then actually building it, I think took a year, which is outrageous. I feel like those things like would take like multiple years, but they got it done in a year, which is awesome. So now we can use it. but like I'm there all the time, whether it's like working out, training, practice, whatever it is. But it's awesome.
Yeah, that's insane that they got that up in a year.
Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful complexes I've seen. It's exactly what you need. Indoor facility, outdoor, obviously beautiful turf field, a nice grass field, and then an indoor training facility.
It's the best that they have the indoor portion when it's like pissing rain. Like I want to say it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were supposed to work with the 33s, and it was just dumping buckets outside. And I'm like, the last thing I want to do, one, is go run around with bobbleheads at noon on a Sunday, and two, do it while I'm soaking wet like a rat outside. And we showed up, and they had everything all set up inside. And I literally walked in, and I was like, thank God. Like, you don't get this, obviously, where I'm from in Seattle. I can't think of a place like that. So it's either you cancel practice or you're out there and you're sucking it up and you're getting through it. So definitely very thankful that we have the resources and the opportunity to be a part of that and help out along with that journey. But kind of getting back to your early days playing lacrosse, have you been playing club ball since third grade, you said, with Team 10, or was that like your rec team that you played in the like youth circuit there?
Yeah, so I played club with Team 10 in third grade, and then I played, I want to say, I guess it was 2 years prior to that, I think. I played with a club like Harley Davidson, like after the motorcycle, and it was with a bunch of Radnor kids, and I played up a year with them when I was in like first or second grade. So I did that for, I think, a year, maybe two. But then outside of that, I just played for Conestoga youth, like just like the public, like rec league. So that, like, I'd say Conestoga youth is probably where I first started like playing organized lacrosse. And then club kind of mainly, it's always been Team 10.
Was your Stoga team nuts? Were you guys raw?
We were good, like, because I played up until 8th grade. Then obviously it ends because you go to high school. We were good in middle school, because in middle school you have the actual like teams, and then but like K through 4 it's kind of like house league, so you have a bunch of like random teams, you're randomly mixed up and you play each other on like smaller fields and stuff. But then once we got to 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, we put together a few solid teams.
Interesting. Yeah, we had, I mean, the way that ours worked, we started when I first got into it, it was just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There wasn't kindergarten through second grade. So when I started in second grade, it was kind of like a big thing. Like my mom was pissed, or she was very against me starting in kindergarten or first grade, because we had, if you're familiar with the National Lacrosse League, the Washington Stealth had moved to Everett, which was like 30 minutes away from me, and my dad played box lacrosse in Canada when played at Whittier. Like, he was a huge box guy. Immediately once they announced they were coming in, he got season tickets and we were at every single game. And that was when I like fell in love with the sport. And I would come back. I had like my little fiddle stick. I had a goal in the garage. I've told this, like, I used to get into fights with myself where I'd pull my jersey over my head and like start swinging, and my mom would walk into the garage thinking that I was like a schizophrenic horse, just like kind of going crazy. But like that's where I fell in love, and I kept begging, where I'm like, yo, I want to play so bad, I want to get in an organized league, and it just wasn't possible for a while. But our league worked where it was a straight up league, and then there was a championship at the end. Or the championship came later, but the only actually like successful team that I had in youth ball was in third grade. We ran it was the Harvey Cup, which is like a big tournament at the end of the year that, you know, still goes on today, and like it's very highly competitive. But at the time there was not that many third and fourth grade teams there, so I think we had to beat like 3 other teams. This is going back to our bowling story, but we went and we played the same team. I think it was 3 games in a row, and we beat them every time. Then we got to buy into the championship, and the championship we played, it was Snohomish Red was the team that we were playing 3 straight times. We played Snohomish White, so the same team but different players, that they actually just mixed all the players together. And that was our championship game. We won, went crazy. It was awesome. That is the highlight of my career until high school. But so kind of moving into middle school ball, I want to talk like the summer circuit for you guys. Like, what does that look like at that younger age? Are you traveling around a lot? Are you playing competitive teams? Or is it kind of just like, oh, we're going to go get reps in PA, or we're going to drive down to Delaware and go play a couple teams? Like, what does that look like?
So in middle school, we always did a tournament, and they still do it now. The summer exposure, it's in Annapolis, and we've played in that for Team 10. Like all the teams have played in that since since we started with my team. So that was, I think, the only like Maryland tournament we had when I was in early middle school. And everything else was in like PA, maybe in Delaware. And then once I got like to 7th and 8th grade, well, that was like the COVID year. So it was kind of like weird how they did some of the tournaments. Like we were only in a few, because there weren't that many tournaments in general. But more than like 7th and 8th grade, I'd say like probably Maryland. We actually did like a New York and a UMass tournament, which was pretty cool. So I'd say starting in 8th grade, going into 9th grade is when we started to travel a lot more. But like the competitiveness was there. And like, since we were a newer team with just like a bunch of my friends, like we weren't good. So we kind of go and like, we'd win a few games, but we'd like get smacked. And then in 6th grade, the summer exposure tournament, we won it. And it was like the best thing ever. Because we'd gone to that tournament for a couple years and always gotten killed. And we finally won, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
So you talked about playing for Conestoga as a kid. Is that where you went to school?
Yeah, so I went to TE Middle School for all middle school, which is there's 2 middle schools for Conestoga, Valley Forge, where we used to practice, and then TE. And I fall under TE for the like district lining, whatever you want to call it. So that's where I went for middle school. And then elementary school, I went to St. Pat's in Malvern, which is just a Catholic school, because when I lived in Phoenixville up until 4th grade, it was close by there, and we weren't in Conestoga School District. So I just went to St. Pat's, and then once we moved to Conestoga, then I started going back to public school.
Nice.
So I'm a little thrown off just when you're talking about your middle school experience, and you're like, yeah, and COVID hit in 8th grade, and I totally just had a culture shock where I was like, whoa, we were in high school, and like it happened in our junior year of high school, and that all went down. What was that like for you as a middle schooler? Both like lacrosse and socially, because did it hit 7th going into 8th grade, or was it and like how did that impact your selection for where you want to go to high school and kind of the social dynamics of being an awkward middle schooler? Like what was that like?
Yeah, so it was my 7th grade spring. I remember like it was my 7th grade spring is when COVID happened and schools shut down. But I remember it was our second practice of middle school lacrosse, playing for the school. And we were on the bus ride back, and one of my friends is like, I heard that the high school, like their tryouts got like postponed or something. Like they can't practice for a couple days. Like the schools are getting shut down or something. I was like, what? Like, no way. Cause my dad coached at Conestoga. So I texted him. I was like, is this true? Like, do you know anything? He's like, no, I don't know anything yet. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Maybe. Cause the kid I was talking to, it's like, you're like good friends with him. Like everybody has a friend like it, but like he is not reliable at all. It's like, he just like says random things for fun. So I thought he was just like messing around, joking. And then I got home and it was like on the news we were watching, and I'm like texting with all my friends. And then the first couple days we all hung out still, cause there wasn't really like a quarantine yet, I guess. So we all hung out for a few days, and then it kind of hit like the quarantine where like you couldn't do anything. And I was just stuck in my house for months.
Yeah, I remember that. So what was your school like? Like, you guys went home. Did you guys still have lessons online, or did they just say, you can do stuff, but you don't have to? Because that's kind of how it was for me in high school. I mean, being, what was it, March 12th, I think it was like the final day of normal life. But yeah, I mean, like the seniors, they were told, yeah, everybody's just gonna get a B this semester, no matter what. Like, everybody just gets a B. Don't do your work, just you'll graduate. And then like my experience, I mean, like, yeah, I did the work, but no one could fail. You weren't allowed to fail. Was that for you guys too? And I mean, obviously middle school is a little bit different with grading and everything, but like, what was your experience with like schooling?
Yeah, it was similar. So like for the spring, so for 7th grade, we didn't do like Zoom or anything. That didn't start till 8th grade the next year. But like it was like you had to wake up, still Monday through Friday, wake up. You had to like go onto a discussion board on the like school page we use. Like we use like Schoology. I don't know if you know that, but it was like we had to go on a discussion by like 10 a.m. So we couldn't sleep in, which was kind of like 10 a.m. to me is like not technically sleeping in. I don't know. I'm a really heavy and late sleeper. So I was like, oh, 10 a.m. Like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So whatever, we wake up and it was like you couldn't fail either. And technically you didn't really have to do the work. Because I think your report card, it was like whatever grades you had then, it was like, okay, you can't get any worse than that. And teachers could only give like, I think like one assignment per or something. And it was like, it's not worth more than 10 points. It was really weird, but it like wasn't school. It was just like, you had to just like sign in and then like, just like get done an assignment. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. And then like, you were done.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how it was for us too. I mean, not the whole discussion like having to like log in, but yeah, basically,
Well,
all right, one assignment a week, just do your assignment, get it done, and then by the end of the year, I mean, like senior year was definitely a lot more than like right when COVID hit, but yeah, it was. We also used Schoology actually.
that must have been the standard because my dad is a middle school PE teacher, and I went to a private school. He worked at one of the local public schools, and my school, we were all online for like our classwork in general before COVID. We used Microsoft Teams, so we'd have everything in there. We used OneNote, all that jazz. And weeks leading up to quarantine, we actually were doing like training sessions using the Teams call, which is their like Zoom feature. And we were like having all our teachers train in it. Students were doing. We did an e-school day before quarantine actually went into effect. So right away we picked up where we left off, which was like a blessing and a curse because you actually had to show up to all of your classes at normal school times from your desk or from your bed. But like my dad, the district that he was in, they were not prepared at all. And he was kind of having to do like just bullshit lessons the entire year. I remember vividly, he'd be in our garage setting up his computer and doing like a PE dance workout. And he was sitting there dancing in front of his computer with black screens everywhere. Like nobody was paying attention to his class. I felt so bad for him. But that's just like kind of how it was. And like you said, wasn't allowed to fail people. All the grades stayed the same. They could only go higher. Like for our senior class, I think everyone just like got A's in their class because we're all like, yo, we feel really bad for you. You're not going to get the rest of your senior year. Crazy stuff. How did that impact your development as a lacrosse player and as an athlete? Because I know like personally for me, that's really where I started to kind of flip the switch and understand like what the grind really is about. So like, how did you take that opportunity being at home to kind of push your game forward?
Yeah, I feel like kind of young when I was young, like I didn't really like I'd practice with my dad a little bit, but I never really like went and practiced on my own. And then quarantine hit, and that's kind of when I started to like be like, okay, I actually like need to. Because when I was younger, I was tall and fast, which is like like not many people at that age were tall, so I kind of had an advantage already. So I was like, I could get away with not really practicing, like on my own. And then I realized I was like, okay, I actually have to like practice and like put in work on my own. So that's when I kind of started there, and it was like just me and my dad, my brother, sometimes in the backyard, even my sister, and we just like shoot around because our backyard was pretty big, so we had a lot of space, kind of just mess around, and we do it all the time because like there was not much else I could do like during it. And then impacting kind of, you asked earlier, like my high school decision going into then eighth grade when we were virtual, we used Microsoft Teams, and we had our calls, and it was like to start the year, it was just 5 days all virtual. Eventually then they got like, we could go into school for some days, but I was in like it was like an art class maybe. And I was like sitting and I had my computer next to me and I'm like, my camera's off because I don't need to have my camera on. And I'm like playing Xbox with all my friends. And my dad comes in and he was like, geez, like this can't like, we can't do this like for high school because we don't know how much longer this is going to last, COVID. And like what the deal is, because for public school, like we had like 300 kids in my middle school grade, and like there would be like 600 per grade at the high school. So it's like, how are they going to manage this? Like, I don't know if you'd be back in school to start high school. Like, we can't do this. So that's kind of when he started to like consider thinking about like private schools in Malvern, and the Malvern coach had like, he knows him well. So they had been talking a little bit, but then finally he kind of like listened. He was like, okay, we'll come look and see what it's about. And then I really liked it when I went and checked it out. So that's kind of how it impacted my high school decision.
Wow. So are you the oldest of your siblings?
Yeah. So I have my younger brother's on the 2030s. He's in 6th grade, Luke. And then my younger sister, Brooke, is in 8th grade.
So was if COVID had never happened, hypothetically, would private school even have been an option for you? Because like for me, I actually went to my public high school my freshman year, and then I decided to transfer to go private. But like before we even like I jokingly brought up the idea of like, yo, like I should transfer to O'Day down in Seattle. And when I brought it up, like it was not even on the table, like not an option at all. And then the more we started thinking about it, and like some other circumstances came up, we're like, yo, this is like actually kind of doable, and could be a really good decision. And spoiler alert, it was, because it like changed my life. But what was that something that you had been thinking about for a while, or was it kind of just that spur of the moment decision where your dad comes in and he's like, we can't do this?
Yeah. I feel like growing up, because my dad, when I was in, I think, 3rd, 4th grade, up until 8th grade, he coached Conestoga for the high school for boys lacrosse. So I was always around the team. And it was kind of like, oh, we hate Malvern, like they're private school, like public school's better, blah, blah, blah. And some other things. But so I was kind of always like, grew up like, go Conestoga, like I don't like Malvern. And now I'm at Malvern, which is weird to think about, but like, I guess maybe, yeah. Like if like COVID definitely influenced it a good amount. Obviously there were other factors. But COVID was definitely a big piece. Cause I never really wanted to like look at it. Until my dad was like, do you want to just check it out? I was like, yeah, sure. I'll just check it out. But I think more so for my parents, from their perspective, like kind of, okay, we like would be willing to send you here, because of this.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Do you think your brother obviously it's a boys' school, so your sister can't, but do you think your brother will go there also?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I think my sister's going to go to Conestoga, just our public high school, because most of her friends are all staying there. I think all of them actually. So they have like a good crew. And then my brother, like he's in 6th grade, so I couldn't tell. Like in 6th grade, I was dead set on going to Conestoga. So we don't really know with him yet. I hope, but I don't really know.
Has he ever brought it up? Like, ever bring up like?
Yeah, they've talked about it a little bit, but kind of just focusing on making sure Brooke is like, okay, you're going to Conestoga, like we're set on this, kind of focused on her now. But we joke around with Luke a little bit. So yeah.
Nice.
So moving into your freshman year of high school, you make that jump. You're getting into. Did you have to obviously meet a lot of new friends and kind of figure that out? But what was like your freshman year summed up? How was that experience like coming out of COVID? Because I assume that's when everything started to get back to more normal in person, like no non-COVID classes. What was that like?
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. So I had a few friends that actually came from TE to Malvern with me. So I knew a few people, and then I knew other guys from like playing sports with them or against them. So that was nice. And making friends at Malvern was really easy. But then kind of we started school not having to wear masks, which was like kind of unheard of at the time. I guess it was still like kind of like risky, and like all my public school friends like had to wear masks. So I remember like texting them, like making fun of them, like, oh, you guys have to wear masks. And then in like 2 weeks we were back in masks because a ton of people got COVID. But it was definitely more, it was obviously so much different because I hadn't like interacted with a full classroom of people like normally. Like I feel like we were human again, not like just like sitting in my bed, like talking to people over like a Zoom for the entire day. But it was like we could kind of like do things now. So it was definitely different, but I loved it. Like who wouldn't want to be back, with all your people, with all your friends, new people. same people. Like I really liked it. And I think it was really important kind of like to be like that I was going back to like normal school, and normal, like just like everything in general.
Did you ever have a tough transition going from public to private? Because I know when I did my visit at O'Day, I kind of had like a culture shock because I sat in on a theology class. I wasn't very religious growing up. And you know, you start every class before, at least we did, with a prayer, and like someone would go up and lead it. And I think they put me on the spot where they're like, "Yo, like Jason, what do you want to pray for?" And I just kind of froze, and I was like, I want to pray for you to stop asking me questions." So like, did you have to have any of that transition, or were you kind of like already comfortable in that change?
I feel like kind of the first semester probably was kind of like I was comfortable, but I was still like figuring everything out. Like for one, just figuring out like the campus and how to get to all the classes, figuring out like because I mean we still have a huge like friend group. Like there's probably 130 kids in our grade, and we have like a friend group of like 30. Um, so it was kind of like, okay, who's like your smaller group within the big friend group? Like who are you really going to be like good friends with? Who's somebody that you can like count on? So it's kind of like figuring that out, because like some of my like I'm still friends with all my friends that went from TE to Malvern. But it's like then some kids that I already knew at Malvern like were in different kind of friend groups, and I was like, okay, well, like who do I hang out with? Like it's kind of just more so like making friends was kind of tough. Not like I made a ton of friends, but it was kind of just like finding the right fit for me was kind of like was definitely tough, in the first semester. But then since then, it's been great.
Did you play anything other than lacrosse? I know you brought up golf earlier. Did you ever play
Uh,
that sport?
Yeah, my freshman year I played freshman football, and then sophomore year and this year, junior year, I've played golf. But then like growing up, I played basketball up through eighth grade. Played football up through eighth grade, and then freshman year, played like rec soccer. So like I played a ton of different sports when I was younger because my dad always preaches like just play as much as possible. Like whenever you can. It's going to make you a better athlete in like all different sports. So I always played a ton of different sports, but right now, yeah, I'm just lacrosse and golf.
Nice. What's your best score in golf?
My best on nine, my best score is a 38. On 18, my best score I think is an 80, maybe.
Wow.
Haven't broken it yet.
Yeah, much better than me.
Recently, I've not been good golfing, so I need to get back in the flow. So I just need one good round, hopefully. But yeah, still trying to break 80.
There you go. What brand do you use? What brand are your clubs?
My brand, Callaway.
Nice.
That's the only answer.
Yeah.
Freshman football, is that like an intense thing at Malvern? Is it like a rite of passage? Because at the school I ended up graduating from, it's like a known thing that everybody does freshman football. You have like the entire class is 120 kids, and at least 100 come out on the first day, and it's like it's a lot. So, is it the same kind of culture at Malvern?
Similar. I feel like, well, because like there's still a ton of kids that play like soccer, run cross country or track. But I know freshman football, like there's always a ton of kids that do it. In my class, we had like the most kids do it, I think, ever. We had like 60 kids play. And it wasn't like you could get cut. It was like everybody plays.
Yeah.
So we had, like 60 kids on the team. And it was still COVID. So our locker room was like this big, like insulated tent in like the parking lot outside the building, which got torn to shreds by the time our season was over. But yeah, I mean, it was a good experience though. One, like to meet new people, but two, just like I still love playing football. So I really enjoyed that. But I'd say like the culture with that similar, but also different. But like there were still so many people that played.
So I kind of wanted to ask you. So Malvern, obviously, amazing lacrosse school.
Decent.
Right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Very, very good at lacrosse. That comes with years of like building a program. What was it like stepping on the field for the first time as a Malvern Prep lacrosse player? Like what was that? What was the aura like?
So in the spring of my freshman year, we were playing. It was Avon Old Farms. I think it was our second game, And I had a few, well, I had a few scrimmages before that, but this was the first real game. And I was on the third line. So I was like the last guy on the third line, and they ran 2 lines of middies. So I got in like if we were winning by a lot. So my dad was always like, you gotta like be aggressive. And like at that point the game just wasn't slowed down for me. Like everything was so fast because going from like a public middle school to Malvern is like a huge jump. Um, so I was kind of going out there. I just like run past, get to my spot, kind of like just like, okay, just don't mess up. But like I also wasn't focusing on like trying to do anything. So my dad's like, if you don't like be aggressive when you get in the first time, I'm gonna run out on the field and tackle you. Like I can't put up with watching this. I'm like, okay, fine. So I get in, um, and it was right out of halftime, and I catch it like, and I sweep from the top left going to my right, and I didn't even realize what I was. I was like, okay, I have like a good shot. It was from like 14 yards, and I put a high bouncer, and the goalie like tipped it at the last second. It flew up in the air. I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And right after I shot it, I got absolutely thrown too. Like I still have a video, and it's me shooting the ball, and as I shoot it, I just get like tossed by some like huge D midi. Um, but yeah, it was like so wild, kind of like first playing at like that pace because I was like looking around, like everybody seemed like they were like 5 feet taller than me and could run 3 times as fast as me. Like it just was so fast paced, and I like wasn't ready for it. And then this year it slowed down a lot for me, so that was nice. But yeah, it was definitely a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Seb, was it Kyle? I forget. It was one of our more recent guests, but they brought up the thing like when you get into high school, you could be 13, 14 years old, and you're playing against 18-year-olds. Like it's a big difference. Like
Yeah,
and I think that goes to like what you said. Like it is a big difference. Like they really are faster than you because they're 3 years older than you. It's crazy.
Did you
yeah.
have a lot of upperclassmen on that team? Because I mean, obviously the strength of your program, you always have guys going to big name schools. Was there anyone who really like tried to take you under his wing and kind of show you the ropes and give you that confidence?
Yeah, I'd say so. Probably that year, a senior, Joe Sheridan. He's at Richmond now. He's a midi, but like he was the number one midi throughout the entire year. And he kind of always. We had 4 freshmen, 2 were attackmen. Well, I like made the team as an attackman, and then I switched to midi. Um, but so I was the only freshman midi. So he kind of took me under his wing, and I was like always just watching him, like what's Joe doing right now that I can learn from. And like after practices every day, he shot around for like 30 minutes, um, just like by himself, and then with me, or we'd be at separate ends. But I was like, I'm gonna shoot longer than Joe. Like I'm gonna see what he's doing, and I'm just gonna like just learn from him, because that's something. And like I know he still does it, like in college. I was talking to our old coach at Malvern, and he said he was down at Richmond because his son goes there, and he was after practice, and he saw Joe like shooting around. But he took me under his wing. He made sure like I knew the offense. I knew how things flowed, and like what decisions to make and to not make. But he was definitely huge. Just like watching him, I feel like made me so much better than going into the summer.
Did you have any crazy moments from that season? Because I mean, with the schedule that you guys play, you get to see some pretty solid names. When you dropped Avon Old Farms, and immediately that makes my eyes light up. Did you have any like crazy moments from throughout that freshman year where you're just like, whoa, like either an I'm him moment or a I just got bodied, like a put in my place kind of thing?
Yeah, so I feel like there were a few like against Avon Old Farms. I remember it was the same. It was my like second or third run, but we were riding, and normally we run a 10-man, but we got out of it and we were in a drop ride. But I like had no idea what was going on, so I kind of just dropped back. And a kid who's a freshman at Duke now, who's an absolute horse, like he's a man child, ridiculous athlete, and he caught the ball and he just comes running at me, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? And he was like 15 yards away from me, just like full sprint. So I like tried to like turn and like run with him, and he just went right past me. He shot, thank God he missed. It was like a fast break, but he just went right past me. I had like zero chance of stopping him. Thank God he didn't lower his shoulder because that would have been awful. So that was one moment. I mean, that was like the first time I ever played. So that was big. I scored my first goal ever. We were playing Paul the Sixth, and we played at like a neutral site. So that was a really cool moment to get my first ever goal. And then the Interact Championship, we won in overtime on a game winner. And I remember running out on the field was surreal. Like I remember it vividly. It was the most insane experience ever.
That was your freshman year. I was there because it was at Cabrini, correct?
Yeah. That year's at Cabrini. This year we were at Westchester. But yeah, my freshman year, and I know some of the years before that were all Cabrini.
Yeah, I was sitting in the corner.
Yeah, we worked the semifinal day because I left that next day to go back home for the summer. But that semifinal game, that was my first time seeing Interact lacrosse, and it was like a very big culture shock to me to be like, as a high schooler. I think I forget, it might have been Haverford, like one of their middies swept across the middle and just stung top left on the run. Like I think he was like 6'3", 6'4". Obviously committed to go play D1, and I just sat there in awe, and I'm like, why could these kids like probably work me? Like not even probably, like these kids would work me, and it's like terrifying to see how skilled that these teams are getting at such a young age. And I mean, obviously, like for me, I'm not used to seeing that level of talent just so condensed into one area. It's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, and it was like so funny on my end being there because I'm sitting in like, I forget what corner. I remember what corner it was, but like on
back right.
Yeah, I was, I guess, bottom right. But 25 feet away from me was Dave Petramala, a bunch of other D1 coaches, a bunch of D3 guys, like just crazy coaches selection to watch top end high schoolers. It was nuts.
I remember for the Haverford EA game, we were walking across the field because we had just got set up, and obviously Chris Bates is over at Episcopal, and I'm a huge Archers fan, so I was like, oh, like let's give it to the Archers, like that's pretty fucking dope. And then I was walking by, and I just see Grant Ament shooting, and I think I turned to you, and I'm like, am I tripping, or is that Grant Ament like 25 feet away from me? And I think I went over and I was like, what's up, Grant? He's like, hey. I was just like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, that's like really fucking cool. It's the small things that you get to kind of take advantage of there. I want to ask on your first goal, you said, was it like a just normal shot? Was it kind of like, because my first high school goal, my freshman year, it was our leading midfielder. He was a senior, All-American. He took a shot on the run, and it hit off of a defender and then hit off of my shin pad and went in the goal. And I got credit for it. So like I can always go down and say like my first high school goal was a soccer goal that I kicked in with my shin pad. What was yours like? Was it just normal?
Yeah, I was at the top right. Hit a split roll down the alley and hit like it was like a jumper, probably like 10 yards, I'm guessing, and put it top left. And it was like when the ball was in the air, I don't know, it's one of those moments, it's like you just feel like really weird in the moment, and it like slowed down and went in the net, and then it kind of returned, like everything returned to like real speed. But I was like, oh my God, I just scored. Like, what do I do? I went like chest pumped the guy at X, but it was really cool. Really cool, definitely, because all the guys, because the two other offensive freshmen already got their first goals. They were both on man up, and the one played a good amount, so they had their opportunities. So I finally hit mine, which was pretty cool.
Did that loosen you up as a player? Like, were you more confident from that point on? Like, no,
yeah.
All right, I scored. I can do this.
Yeah, definitely. Like then, I think I like took 2 shots after that, like alone in that game. And then like after the game, one of the assistant coaches, who's now the head coach, he was like, the first one's the hardest, like it's going to be like, you'll be fine from here now, kind of loosening up. So yeah, I definitely felt like totally more confident. Yeah, it was definitely it was a big moment. Just one, like, that's really cool. Like your first ever goal. But 2, kind of just like from like my perspective, like I can I can hang with these guys a little bit, at least I know. And I've proved it a little bit. So that kind of loosened me playing and gave me some more confidence, which was great.
I'm just thinking now, both of my first goal in high school and first goal in college, they're both Mickey Mouse goals. They're bullshit. Like my freshman year one, obviously I just said from high school, and then college last year was against Centenary. And it was somebody took a shot, goalie makes the save, pops it up. and it just like it went right into my stick on the crease, and I got a garbage goal and put it back in. But I still I don't count that as my first goal because for context, Centenary is a school in our conference that we beat the last 2 years 29-1, and we weren't allowed to score any more than 29 goals. We got to 29 it was the fourth quarter this year, but I think it was the third quarter our freshman year. It is a brutal game. It's like it tests your passion for the sport of lacrosse because you're trying to like grow the game and respect the game while also realizing if I pass the ball to the goalie, he's gonna let it in. Like he does not want to see the ball right now. Or my defender at the end of the game where like just it got to the point where we were at 29, so we just killed the shot clock rule in the corner. And there was like a minute left. I'm standing there, whatever, just like waiting for the shot clock to go down. And my defender looks at me and he's got like pain in his eyes and he's like, "Hey, can you not roll it into this corner? Like, I can't clear the ball." So I had to chuck it to the other side. And I was like, "Dude, I am so sorry, man. I don't know what else to do." But yeah, so I've scored a lot of Mickey Mouse goals, I guess.
Centenary's rough. No hate.
No. So you said after the Interact Championship, you guys win. You go into your summer ball circuit, and you had a little bit of energy. So talk about, especially, I'm curious if you have people like not target you, but when you walk out with a Malvern Prep helmet, do people play you differently? Do they look at you a little bit different? Like kind of put you on that pedestal?
Yeah, I feel like our coaches say it all the time. Like we always have like a target on our backs, and that's our mindset. So anywhere we are, like people may not say it to us, but they see Malvern and it's like, okay, we got to play. And we have to come with the same attitude as well towards them. Like we have to respect everyone. And last year we kind of lost sight of that a little bit, and lost a few games we shouldn't have because we just didn't respect the team. We're like, okay, we're going to come, we're going to steamroll them, and we're going to go back home. And that didn't happen. So yeah, we always have the mindset, there's you put on a Malvern helmet, penny, sweatshirt, pants, short, like anything, like there's a target on your back now. Cause we're one of the best. Like that's our mindset going into anything.
It's a good mindset to have.
Yeah. So kind of transitioning into the summer ball circuit, especially like your freshman and sophomore year are two very crucial ones, obviously, for lacrosse and getting recruited. Freshman year, what was like? Were you thinking about recruitment as a freshman playing? Like when you score a goal, you're going, "Oh, like that's gonna be my highlight tape," or "Oh, okay, I had a really good ride here. Like I gotta remember this." And like, are you processing that on the journey, or are you kind of taking it one step at a time and enjoying the process?
Kind of taking it one step at a time. Like freshman year, it's like no coaches are going to bother to watch your games like your summer going into your sophomore year because they're all watching the grade above you because that's what they have to do. Like there would be like a few coaches that would like stop in and watch you, but it's like for me, like even this year playing with like a ton of coaches watching for some games, it's like I don't care who's here, like whatever. I'm just gonna play. I'm gonna be me. I don't like obviously I'm gonna play hard and I'm gonna play and try to have the best game I can, like I always do. Like if I have a bad game, like okay, I'm gonna play better the next game. Like, I didn't really, I kind of took it one step at a time, tried to not let like that. Cause I mean, it's really hard when you have like so many like great coaches, like legendary coaches, like that may be watching you or like, or a field over. It's like, oh my God, what do I do? But I tried not to let that kind of affect how I played, like my mentality at all.
Gotcha. And so you wrap up freshman summer, come back sophomore year in the fall. Do you guys do a fall ball at Malvern?
Yeah, it was actually at Cabrini.
Oh yeah, yeah. Foley. That's a stupid question. We've both been there. But where I was going with this is coming back for that sophomore fall. How different of a feeling is it having not only the confidence of a full year under your belt, but also as defending Interact champions? Like, what's the vibe of the squad? And then personally, like, how much more confident do you feel as a player where you're like, okay, I've done this before. I kind of know my role, and I've seen what it takes to be successful.
Yeah, going into the year, obviously won the Interact and we were really good. So we all kind of came in like, okay, we still have to like compete. We still have to do it again. Nothing is as easy or harder. It's going to be harder. to keep on winning this year. And then for me going into the year, it was like, okay, this year I'm like actually going to play. Like, so I was like obviously my goal was to start, but there were guys in front of me. And then like as the fall kind of came down, 2 of them got hurt with knee injuries and they were both ruled out for the season. So like all of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm going to have to start probably. Not saying like in a bad way, like, oh, I'm going to have to start, but like, I'm going to have to be in that spot and I need to like rise to the occasion here. Like right away, like I don't have any time to kind of ease into it. Like it's full go right now. But you know, from the past year, whether it was like spring ball, summer ball, like playing a year of varsity before that, just like practicing, I got so much better. And then regaining all my confidence, playing in the summer circuit and in the fall, then I felt like really good about myself going into the year, put in a ton of work in the off season. So then I felt prepared. I was like, I've worked hard enough. And like, I'm good enough to be here and do this. Like, let's go. So that was kind of how it was for me.
And so come spring, how did the season kind of go for you guys? Like, what was the storyline of the arc? Because there's no straight line for lacrosse season. It's a roller coaster. You got the ups, you got the peaks, the valleys, everything. Like, what was the story of 2023 Malvern Prep lacrosse?
Yeah, so we lost a ton of seniors, and our senior class was like a really tight-knit group, and they were great leaders. And then our current seniors for 2023 were kind of like, we were kind of a little too divided, I'd say, most of the season. And towards the end of the season, we came together. But like going into the year, we started off 3-0. We beat Bullis, Calvert Hall, and LaSalle. Okay, and then we played like Lawrenceville, Brunswick, St. Anthony's, Haverford, and Radnor, and we lost all of them. So we went from 3-0 to 3-5, and everybody is like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" Because like we should have at least won a few games in there in that stretch. So everybody's kind of like freaking out, panicking. It's like, do we need to like change our lineup? Do we need like what do we need to do? And it was like our culture is not good. Like our leaders aren't like we aren't all together. We're not one team. We're like a bunch of guys with different groups in it. So then we started to pick it up a little bit. We only had 2 losses after that, which still wasn't good for our standards. You know, like going into the year, we wanted like typically for Malvern. I don't know the last time Malvern lost 7 games in a season. Like I think it was probably 5 is like the most in like recent years, but it's normally like 2 or 3 losses and you win the rest. So it was definitely like not a typical Malvern year. I feel like, and everybody then that kind of threw everybody off guard. Like what's going on our coach? It was his first year. And we were all, I mean, like he did a great job through it all. And he was like, let's like our motto, like halfway through the season was stay together, block out the bullshit. It's like, nobody cares what they're writing on social media. Like, oh, Malvern's falling apart. Like, no, we're not, we're going to stick together. So then we played Haverford a second time because we play our league opponents twice. And we lost to them in overtime. And we were like, crap, like, what are we going to do? And then we went into the Interact Championship and we were like, we know we can beat them. We should have beaten them twice. We know we can do this. And then we ended up winning, which was a good way to end the season because our other assistant coach always says, like, we want to win the last game. That's our goal, is win the last game.
It's really ironic that you kind of bring that up because I was going to ask about, you said that you guys were like divided as a group and then you came together, and I was trying to wrap my head around like what that looks like. And I thought back to my senior year of high school. We kind of had an identity crisis, and I was one of our captains. We started off the year we got smacked in our first game. We played, they were the best team in the state my senior year, went undefeated. They waxed us. I think it was like 19-6 or something. And this was our first game after not playing in a year and a half from COVID, after, hyping everything up all the time we put in. We're like super juiced. And then we get punched in the mouth. And we're like, what the fuck is not working? Come back, win a couple games in a row, kind of get back on our feet. And then we have a non-contest game against, it's called Glacier Peak, which was actually like pretty close to my hometown. So I was saying it's like this further. I'm from north of Seattle, so it's like this further north end. We go there on a Thursday night or something under the lights playing them, and this is their Super Bowl. Like, we did what you were saying where we kind of underestimated them. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna get through fine. Like, we're gonna work them, wax them, whatever. And they gave us a very good game and ended up beating us. I think it was 12-8, or they got us by a solid number. And afterwards, we're like sitting in the like post game huddle. Our coach is talking to us, and he walks up and he's like, "I'm not going to say a word. I need to hear from our leaders. Like, what just happened right there?" And I honestly, I had no idea what to say. I was just speechless because everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And it was just like, I think I stood up and I'm like, it's just because some of us aren't bought in. Like, we need to somehow figure out how we can get everybody's best effort, because we left a lot of potential on that field, and that's why we got our asses kicked. So like the next week at practice, like I had a meeting with a bunch of our captains trying to figure out like, how are we going to get people to buy in? Like, what's going to be our thing? And that's where we came up with this whole like BTJ, bring the juice model of like, somebody's got to be the juice man. Where we had this D Mitty, who was our school captain and just kind of picked up lacrosse to play lacrosse his senior year at O'Day. And he is the definition of a glue guy, like a guy you need on the roster because everybody loves him, everyone can root for him. And he turned into our juice man. His job for every game was to bring a bottle of POG, pineapple orange guava juice, and we would have it sitting on the sideline. Whenever someone made a juice play or somebody did something that was like, bringing the juice, you'd go over and you'd take a swig from the POG. The end of every game, we'd fucking break down. We'd be Irish on 3, family on 6, juice on 9. Just like, that was our thing. And go through the rest of the year, we have 2 massive wins. One against Mercer Island, which is like a perennial powerhouse in Washington. First time we played them in program history, and we beat them on their home turf day before our graduation too. And then our last game was for our state championship. It was COVID. There wasn't actually a state championship, which is bullshit. Different story. But we are playing our rival, Seattle Prep. And the last time we played, it was 1-goal game. Great back and forth. This is the infamous, we go down 9-2 at halftime. And we're like, fuck, okay, this is going to be really bad. What are we going to do here? Whatever. We come off and rattle off, I think, 8 goals in a row to take the lead. And it goes into double overtime, tied 13-13. And, but best friend gets the OT game winner. In our final game, we have senior night right after that. So it was like a storybook ending after everything kind of hit the fan earlier in the year. But it was all just about like, we had to figure out what our identity was. Like, what team were we going to be? We were so set on the expectations of groups before us and living up to that expectation that we forgot that we control our own destiny. So I think that's a really important thing, especially in high school with all the pressure that you have, making sure you can block out the noise and focus on what's important. So you said you guys won the Interact Championship against, was it Haverford at the time?
Yeah.
Were they undefeated or like what was their? Because I remember I was watching this game and I thought that Haverford was gonna take it pretty handedly. So like, what went well that allowed you guys to come in and take the upset win?
So I mean, we played them twice and we beat them. Or sorry, they beat us twice. And I feel like everyone says it's really hard to beat a team 3 times. And we knew we were so close. And first time we lost them, I think we lost them by 4, maybe 9-5. The second time we lost in OT, so we're like, okay, we're right there, we're right on the door. And that was regular season, so they won the regular season title. But then when all the energy is put into the tournament championship. So there's the semifinals and then the final. And we met them, and like the past couple years, maybe the past 5 years, 6 years, maybe Malvern. Actually, I don't know. But in many of the recent years, Malvern has always won that tournament game. And so we were like, we know how to win this game. They don't. None of them have ever won this game. And we kind of use that as like a little confidence booster. And then we were also used losing to them twice, like we were really pissed off. We took that onto the field. It was obviously seniors' last game. So like play for them. One senior gave a speech before the game, the one midi who's at Maryland now, and he hurt his knee, so he was out for the season. He was like, I'd do anything to be out there with you guys. Like let's go win this. And I feel like that, at least for me, that got me like fired up. And I was like, this is my last game ever with some of these guys. Like I need to bring it. And everyone else had their moment where they realized they needed to bring it, but we all came together for that game. And leading into that week, it was like a totally different feel. And then like actually in the game, I feel like we just won our matchups like the whole time. Like they switched to zone. And I feel like when they switched to zone, like, yeah, it's tough to beat a zone because zone defense thrown at you in the middle of like the third quarter is really wonky to adjust to. But we kind of knew like, okay, let's control the game now. Like they know that they can't take us one-on-one. We know we got this. Let's just keep doing what we've been doing. And go from there. And then obviously we ended up winning. But we were kind of in control the whole time. So keeping momentum was huge, and we were able to do that. So that's kind of how it went down that last week into the game and then the actual game.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you get done interact play, and I'm guessing school ends relatively sooner after that, like soon after that?
Yeah, like a week. I think we had the interact championship, and then it was like school ended like a week after. Yeah.
Yeah, so how long do you have from the end of school until club ball starts up for you guys? Hopping like into summer.
I had like a 2-week break, which was really nice because I went from playing 6 days a week to then finally getting a break because I know some of my friends on my club that play public school, like they went to the state championship and it was on the Saturday of our first tournament, so they missed the first day, but they went from starting in the beginning of March to not ending until the end of June technically because they had summer ball the whole time. So having the 2 weeks was a huge break. Like I was able to kind of just relax, like sit down, like just like chill, just like not do anything, like not touch a stick for a couple of days, like not like think about lacrosse. And then obviously I got back into it a little bit before to be ready for the summer season. But I had a few weeks, which I think was a huge benefit to go in because if not, I feel like I would have gotten burnt out within like a week or two into the summer season.
Yeah, that's another big thing you say, and I know it's. I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way, Fridge, but going day like every single day, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, and not getting a break for 4 or 5 months sometimes, and then having that nice, all right, is it 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, of just I'm not doing anything lacrosse related. Like I'll coach obviously, but I'm not playing in the game. I'm able to sit on my couch. I don't have practice for 2.5 hours today. Like it's a beautiful feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, when our season ends, because we start end of January and we go, if you go all the way, you're into Memorial Day weekend. That's 4, almost 5 straight months of lacrosse. It's a lot on the body. So like you said, having that time to kind of just decompress and focus on other stuff before like a crucial summer in your lacrosse career, I think that's key, and that's what a lot of people don't prioritize. I know like a lot of people on the West Coast that I'm familiar with, they will like live out here out east and play lacrosse for 3, 4, 5 weeks straight of either a tournament, showcase, prospect camp, all of the above, just like back to back to back to back. And then they get back and they're like, I don't want to play lacrosse ever again. And like that's a huge problem that I think a lot of the time it's families trying to do too much in the recruiting process, when like recruiting is all about letting things come to you. Like you can put yourself out there, absolutely, but I think it's much more important for you as a lacrosse player and as a person to kind of let the opportunities find you. Yeah, you have that initiative, you put your name out there, but the right place is going to come calling. And especially if it's meant to be. Like if you told me 4 years ago I'd be sitting at Cabrini University right now, I'd probably first ask you where Cabrini is, and 2, laugh in your face being like, absolutely not, that's not even like close. But like stuff happens, and this world works in a magical way to where this was the spot that I needed to be. And so kind of going into that summer now, how hectic was it for you?
It was definitely crazy, like you were playing obviously in front of a ton of coaches, so it was a totally different feel. But our team, we like focus on like we're big, like we might not have like 3 lines of like absurd middies, like we play as a team, and that's something we pride ourselves in. So like we come in, we play as a team. I don't care who's watching. One game, you could have 6 goals, I could have 3 assists, vice versa, or I could have nothing one game. But I'm like starting the offense. It's like we focused on playing as a team a ton. So that took a little bit of stress off of it, because everybody, you're going to get a goal or stuff, but coaches are also seeing you for what you're doing that game. And obviously with Ron, because he talks to so many guys, so many coaches. It's like throughout the summer, I was kind of like going into then September 1st, like I kind of knew like who was going to text me, how much interest and stuff, for the most part. So that was really nice having Ron there as well. And it was at the point where like some of my friends were like making like, who is Ron? Like they thought Ron was like fake, because it was like all your information's coming from Ron. Like, is he even real, or are you just making this all up? Because he just did such like an amazing job. But playing, it was definitely stressful, but it was also like, okay, I just came off a great spring season. Like, we can kind of, I wouldn't say relax, but like I know I'm good enough. Like I have a ton of confidence coming off the spring season, so like I can play loose. I need to play loose. I need to play with confidence, and I just need to play to make everyone around me better, like I always do, and let the game come to me, and then I can go from there. So that was my outlook on it, playing in the summer.
Good old Ronnie G.
Yeah,
Just being a legend.
I love how you bring up Coach Garland, because when I think of, like, I've always said this, but like the lacrosse community, it's small, but it's obviously it's going to be huge one day. But it's small enough to, if you know somebody, they know 40 people in the community, right? And that 40 people, they all know 40 people. So like you if you talk to 3 people, you know anybody you want, right? And I think Garland's the perfect example of that. Because you talk to Garland, he'll throw names out, and it's like, how the heck, like, you know this person? And that person knows this person. And, like, the amount of connections, like, obviously Garland, perfect example, but, like, so many other people within Team 10's organization, Malvern's organization, just local organizations here. It really does blow my mind sometimes.
So I'm very curious. Walk me through September 1st, because you said like you knew who was going to like kind of contact you. You had a pretty decent idea. As 2 guys who on September 1st, at least I can say for myself, I don't know about Nick, but my phone was radio silent. Like, what is that like? Are you sitting up? I was just watching the Brendan Millen documentary of him committing to Virginia, and he's sitting there at 11:50, like his family's ready to throw a party, and then at 12 o'clock, his phone rings, and it's, Lars Tiffany, and then it's John Danowski, and, Tillman from Maryland. Like, walk me through what that experience is like, especially as a high school kid, to have all these guys, these men, these coaches come and call and be like, I want you to be a part of my program.
Yeah, it was definitely like a lot of anticipation leading up to it. So like that day, it was Thursday night, and I didn't have school Friday because it was Labor Day weekend. So we got a 4-day weekend, which was really nice. Then for September 1st, like I was able to take all my calls and stuff and not have to worry about school for that day. But like leading up to it, like I went to school, golfed, like played Xbox. Like I did everything possible to kill time, because I was super excited, but I was also nervous. And I was like, this is going to feel like it's going to take 3 days to come in 3 hours. So I just did all that I could, kind of just like to get rid of time. Like I golfed with one of my friends who I always golf with, and I live really close to the place where I golf. And he lives probably 10 minutes away. And I was like, here, I'll take you home. He was like, isn't it so out of the way? I was like, I need to just do something, like rather than go sit home and stare at a clock. So the anticipation was definitely there. And then I stayed up till midnight, which I think most of my friends did. I know some had a football game the next day, so they didn't, but I stayed up. And it was really exciting, like all the texts coming in, from like various schools, like different schools. It's like, oh my God, like it was really cool experience. Super grateful for it. So that was definitely unreal. And then kind of like, I didn't go to bed till 2 a.m. I think, not because I was like talking to people. I was just so excited. Like I couldn't fall asleep. It was just such a surreal experience. And then I woke up, and I took all my calls that day, which was good. And then, so the next 2 days I took calls, which was really, really fun to meet all the coaches. They're all great guys, and everyone's super, super personable. Like, like most of my conversations weren't necessarily about lacrosse. Like they're about lacrosse, but it was more so like just getting to know you. Like who are you? Like we're talking for the first time. I get to meet you. You get to meet me. It was kind of that vibe. So that was cool. That was like September 1st. Just a lot of anticipation. Then super exciting. Yeah.
Who was the first school to contact you?
I was gonna say now is the time where you get to name drop. Like, let's start hearing them.
I think so. The first school that texted me was Richmond right away, and then I'd say within probably 15 minutes, and that's when all the schools kind of texted. 15 to 30 minutes, probably all the schools kind of texted, and that's what most of them do. At least for me, like they all texted, and then we set up a call. I only had 2 calls that night, where they kind of just called, and I was like, I guess I'll answer. Like I don't really know, but I wanted to go to sleep, so I didn't schedule any right away. I was like, yeah, let's just talk tomorrow. So yeah, they were the first school to contact me though.
Yeah, I still remember the first text I got. I thought it was fake. Like I didn't think it was real. But it was a small school in Massachusetts, and they were like, "Yeah, I would love to set up a call." And I'm like, "This is like peak COVID too, quarantine." I just come back from injury, so I getting that like bite. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is happening!" So texted right away, set it up for like the next day. Go in, I do a full sheet of notes, have all my questions lined up, like totally over prepared. But like that's how you have to do it with a lot of these things. And my favorite call that I got was from a school around here in PA, a smaller one, and the coach was just such an asshole. Like he was trying to recruit me, but he came off so rude and passive aggressive. Like I was telling him about how I was going to plan out a bunch of visits to schools. Like I was coming to Cabrini and then hitting a bunch of schools in Ohio over like 5 days, going to 6 different schools. And I had this already like planned out, all that, flights, hotels. And he tells me, he's like, oh, so like they were in Western PA. He's like, so when you're at this school, like you can do a 2-a-day. You're going to come to us afterwards. I was like, excuse me? Like what? He said, yeah, like it's a 2-hour drive. It's right across the border. Like you're going to come and visit us that day, right? I'm like, dude, planning out 2 waves. If I don't like any of these schools, I can come out later. He's like, well, no, like you have to come out like then because you're going to be there. So like we want to have you. And I was really just started laughing. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, are you just trying to build out my trip right now? Like I get it. You want me to come visit your school, but like totally was just an aggro. I assume none of the coaches that you talked to kind of went with that attitude. But once you get through that first wave of calls, you're fielding everything. How did you get your visit list set up? I assume you took official visits.
Yeah, so most schools do. They were all unofficial, which most schools do because then once, like, if you commit to the school, you do an official visit with your whole class 1 week, then which would be next year for me. Because you can only do one official visit per school. So most schools wanted to try to kind of keep that like official first, and then you do an official later. So that's what I did. I feel like that's what most people do now. Because I know there were a bunch of different rules that got switched, which kind of changed the whole dynamic of it. So then I think it was might have been, I think I might have set up a visit or 2 on the first. It was kind of like I went in order of the schools that like I was interested in. So I set up 6 different visits. I ended up taking 5. I canceled 1. But yeah, I think by September 3rd or 4th, I had all my visits planned out and set up. And then my first actual visit was actually to Georgetown, which was either the 7th and 8th or the 8th and 9th. But it was like in a week. So then it was from then until like the 20th, I had like 5 visits like jammed in that. So it was like a quick week and a half. But it was like I was in school like once. So I missed like a ton of work. So like then getting back, my makeup work was like ridiculous. I had like tests and I'm like staring at the tests like I have no idea what any of this is. So yeah, I was able to kind of squeeze it in where it wasn't too overwhelming, but I was getting them all done.
I got you. Who was in the Jake Bickel sweepstakes?
So first school I went to was Georgetown. Then I went to Princeton, then Penn State and Notre Dame, and then Maryland. So there's really 5 schools I all looked at. So that was kind of my top 5. I really liked all of them. The coaching staff was all great. The team, all the kids were great. So it was a really cool experience at each and every one of them. And I mean, like the thing, like my dad was saying, is like you can't go wrong. Like there's no going wrong with this. Just find what fits you best. And then like Georgetown, I was like, I think like this fits me best. Like this is where I want to go. Which wasn't an easy decision because like I loved all the other places, but ultimately that's what it came down to.
You think your dad wanted you to go to Penn State?
I was just about to say
that little part of him.
My mom, I think a little bit, but she's still obviously super happy I'm going to Georgetown. But my dad was like, I don't care where you go, like whatever you think is the best for you, and whatever is going to make you happiest, like go there. So at least he never expressed it that he wanted me to go there. So I don't really know. But my mom was slightly biased, a little bit, but not really. But no, my dad never came out and said anything about it.
Love that.
Was it the moment that you stepped onto Georgetown's campus? Did you kind of like get that feeling like this is the one?
Yeah. So since it was my first visit, I didn't really know like what to expect at all. And I went there and I loved it. But I was like, okay, I can't like kind of just decide, like I still have to take my other visits because I don't know if this is normal to feel for all visits. And then after going to other schools, like I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely liked that one the most. And then that's kind of, so it was more so like after all my visits, then I realized I was like, yeah, that feeling was kind of the one for me, I'd say.
And so you get to do one of the greatest feelings that I've ever had is when I got to commit to Cabrini and like make that phone call or send that text. What was that feeling like for you? Like how rewarding was it to kind of just wrap up the process of I'm finally done with this. I know where I'm going to go to college, that kind of stuff. But also like this is years of hard work and sacrifices. Like how did that all culminate into that one moment?
I mean, it was really awesome. Like I took all my visits, so then I was done and I was like, all right, I don't want to like talk about this for a couple of days. I kind of just want to see if it comes to me, but also just like relax because it was really like overwhelming kind of a little bit. Exciting, but definitely overwhelming. So I was like, all right, let me put this to the side, like focus on getting back in school and stuff and like getting back to like a normal life where I can like go to school, hang out with my friends, not think about that for a little bit. And then I was talking with my parents, like kind of the first time we really like had like an actual like sit down, let's really think about this conversation, because I always like hated whenever my mom would ask questions, like oddly, like I was like, I don't want to do this right now. I don't want to talk about it. So then we kind of had a conversation and my dad was like, there's no need to really kind of keep this, like, there's no need to wait. Like you're down to 2 schools, you're down to this number of schools. You got to try to decide soon. 'Cause you don't need to wait, and 2, you don't need to keep the schools waiting. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to decide by this day, which was a couple days later. And then the next night I was like, yeah, I know where I'm going to go. It's Georgetown. And then I hopped on a FaceTime with all 3 of the coaches. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And kind of just talked for a little bit. And I was like, I'm coming to Georgetown. And that was a really cool moment for me. 'Cause just something like, yeah, it's like, all these years, it's like you see people playing on TV and it's like, wow, that could be you. So it was a really cool experience for me and for my family. Like just thanking them, kind of like I hugged them all. I was like just ecstatic. So it was a really, really, really special moment for me.
That's awesome.
And you now get to look at the TV and be like, that's going to be me in 2 years. I'm going to be a Hoist. I think now is the point in the episode where we can start to transition to our final segments. So we have 2 main segments that we do at the end. Our first one, which we're going to do real quick, is our moment of the week. So this is can be anything from this past week: funny, happy, sad, angry, a moment that stands out of like, this is something I want to remember. So we'll give you some time to think about that. Another thing that you got to think about is we do a draft at the end of every episode. If you're familiar with Part of My Take, they do a like Mount Rushmore draft. So we do a similar thing. We pick a topic, the top 5. It's awesome. So you get to pick that topic. Again, you got some time. But Nick, do you want to kick us off here?
I do.
With our moment of the week.
I would love to. So my moment of the week comes Friday morning at around 8:15 a.m. Day started early. Woke up at like 5:45. Got to school around 6:30ish. Got my pads on. Hopped into the gym. We started playing box lacrosse. I was on team 4. I couldn't tell you all my teammates off the top of my head, but we ended up winning the championship. We went undefeated, and it was beautiful. And then after that, we played team knockout. I played 3 games, and some of the guys actually compared me to Steph Curry. And if you know me, you know that I'm not a basketball player. So that was a great feeling, winning a championship and then feeling like Steph Curry.
I unfortunately had to dip out on that basketball experience. I had to go visit a school and do some adulting. But my moment of the week, I am going to go to... Oh, I just had it. Just slipped my mind. Wow, that's really going to piss me off. I had a really good one. Jake, you're going to be able to save me? Do you have a moment of the week you can think of right now?
I'm still thinking a little bit, but I guess, I didn't have a very eventful week, so there's not many options to pick from. But at Malvern, we have intramural football, and it's something like everybody loves. So we had a game Tuesday, when most of the games are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So my team, we had a game Tuesday, we won, but then Thursday, some of my other friends, their team, they had a game. They didn't have enough kids, so I filled in and played. I don't know, it was just really fun. And it was like a team of like 6 just like random kids against a team of our other friends, because it's like 7 kids per team. And we won in OT, but I was balling. I was playing quarterback, best intramural performance of my life, right there. But that was just like really fun. Like it's during like in between like class and lunch. So just like hanging out, like it's like in school too. My friend's got like that we were playing against. He's got like a shiesty on with like chains and like a watch on. It's like, dude, like what are you doing? But it was just like really funny, really fun. It's something I enjoy every week. So that's probably my moment of the week.
That's awesome.
I did remember what mine was, but before we did the same thing. We called it house games, so it was basically like Harry Potter, where we had the school divided up into 4 houses, and we do those intramural like football, basketball as an entire school. And they actually just had our homecoming assembly this past Friday at my high school, and they do the championship for house football there, and it gets heated. It's like obviously an all boys school, so testosterone is through the roof, and you're competing to be the best football team, not actually on the football team, so it's like huge honor. And I saw it got a little bit rowdy, but L's up, shout out Limerick. My moment of the week, I'm gonna go to Thursday afternoon. I was driving around KOP. I was going to the store, and on my way back, I do broadcasting for community athletics, and I was signed up to do the men's soccer game on Saturday at noon against Marymount. I got a text from our producer in a group chat with me and our other commentator. He's like, do you guys have the game figured out? Like, who's going to be on it? And I was kind of like, I knew I was signed up for it, so I was typing out. I was at a stoplight, and I'm typing out, yeah, I'll be there. Like, I got it. Kind of like, okay, I'll sacrifice my Friday night. Like, not a big deal. Light goes green, so I have to keep going. I don't send the text. Next thing I know, the other commentator jumps in, and he types out and says, yeah, I'll be there. Like, I'm on it. So I immediately delete my text that I was going to send, like his message, and just say, you know what? It is all you, man. Free up my Friday night, Friday, Saturday, have an absolute great time with a bunch of our friends. We also won the soccer game, so it was like a triple whammy right there. But instantly just like made me go from, we had an early practice Thursday, so I was like wiped when I was getting the text, and instantly just like, whoa, like I have so much time on my hands now. Like, what am I going to do with this? So that's going to be my moment of the week. Definitely felt good in a much needed little break that we got to have.
You came back here and you were very happy.
It was very juiced.
Yeah.
So that was a great segment.
Some good moments.
That I think might have been our best one. Besides me fumbling the bag like very hard.
That's all right. Happens.
But yeah, it does happen. So I think now is the time where we start to get into our draft.
The draft is fun.
Do you have any idea of topics that you want to do for the draft? I have good news if you don't have any ideas, because my excellent mother, who is a Lax Lounge enthusiast, listened to our last episode where she sent me a list a while ago of like, oh, if somebody can't remember or come up with a topic, like I have some stock ones. And she gave me a fresh list on Tuesday after she listened to this other one. So I'll hand it over to you first. If you have a topic that you think you want to draft, throw it out there. But Denise has you covered if you need any help.
Let's go to Denise. Let her pick.
All right. So we have top 5 books, top 5 cars you've ever rode or drove. This is my mom in a nutshell. Top 5 musicals. My mom's a Broadway junkie. Top 5 frozen foods. Top 5 freeways. I don't know what that last one was, Mom. Freeways. I'm gonna go first overall pick. I'm taking I-95.
I'll take I-476.
Before it collapsed. But any of those stand out. The frozen foods, I think that one could get pretty good.
I'd say frozen foods.
I think that could get pretty interesting.
Let's do some frozen foods.
Alrighty.
Jake, start us off.
So yeah, you will lead off, and then we just go through. It's not snake style, but build your top 5, and make sure you just write it down every time that you make a pick, because at the end we do a recap, and if you don't write it down, we learned the hard way that it's really hard to remember what we got.
Always is.
The floor is all yours.
So for frozen food, is this like, are we talking like always frozen or like frozen and then like you heat it up?
I think I'm going to say both.
I was going to say, yeah, it could be both. Now, here's the thing. If you were to say frozen pizza, everybody knows that's not as good as real pizza. But it's all right.
But like as a frozen food, like
it's a frozen food. It's something that's frozen that is heated back up.
We will make arguments for all of these.
100%.
But yeah, so you can take anything either pre-frozen or that you heat up. We'll keep it as broad as we can, because the more broad, the better.
Yeah. Ooh, first pick, there's a lot of pressure. I feel like my second and third, I feel like those will be the better picks.
There's a couple directions you can go here.
I know. Trying to think, like I'm thinking like my air fryer, like what do I put in the air fryer? But then do I want to go something that's always frozen?
This is a moral dilemma right now.
It's hard.
Do I go to the air fryer? Do I stay in the freezer?
Do I stay in the freezer? I'm gonna stay in the freezer. I'm just gonna say ice cream to start.
It couldn't not be ice cream.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I was gonna judge you if you didn't.
We talked about it earlier. It's such a ubiquitous thing that like even if you're lactose intolerant, you try to get lactose-free ice cream because it's so delicious. So that had to be the number 1 pick. Great job. Didn't fumble the bag. Very impressed. Now comes the fun part. We get to figure out who goes second. We do rock, paper, scissors. I'm on a 3-episode win streak.
He's on a bender, Jake.
Yeah, I'm kind of cooking.
I'm get my ass whooped recently.
So let's see. Warmed up.
My hand in frame. Here we go.
Yeah. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ooh, down to 1-0. Okay.
Turn up. This is usually how it happens. I usually do win the first one. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Bang. We back. Tie game. 1-1. Bottom of the 9th.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Give it to me. Give it to me, baby. That's right. 4 straight.
It's all right.
4 straight, and I am going to go.
All right.
I'm going to go straight to the air fryer, and I think that the specificity of this pick is the key portion. I'm going with the dinosaur chicken nugget. Dino nuggets. Add them to the squad.
It's awesome.
That's the number 1 frozen food that you can put into an air fryer. I will stand on that. They are 20 times better than normal chicken nuggets. There's something about them. They probably inject them with a whole lot of chemicals that just add so much flavor. And Dino Nuggets. Shout out Nate Mazurek, Dino Dillas. Don't know about it? You got to try it.
Dino Nuggets are good. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'm going to take the inferior pick to Jake's. I'm going to go with frozen yogurt. Healthy alternative. It's good.
I haven't had froyo in a minute, but like at a good frozen yogurt place where you get to add your own toppings. That's an amazing place to go. Just like on a night with your boys, like just let's go get froyo. Nobody's gonna say no to that.
And like you can't tell it's yogurt. Like obviously, I feel like the only reason you can tell is because it's like a little bit lighter. It doesn't have that like fattiness that you feel with ice cream.
But you still get that sweet tooth.
100%.
Frozen yogurt, good pick. All right, Jake, it is back up to you.
I just thought, no, come on the spot, I forget everything.
Just did that in moment of the week. Don't worry, it happens.
I'm gonna go to the air fryer. I think heavily underrated. I don't know. I love them. Frozen tater tots.
Ooh, wow, that's a good
one. That's a good one.
That's not where I thought you were going. But yeah, that's an old reliable thing. Again, like a solid addition to every single meal, no matter what. Shout out, I think Julian on Saturday when I showed up to his house, he was making tater tots, and he left them in the air fryer too long and burnt them to a crisp. And like I walked in and it was smoky in there, and I'm like, "What is on fire?
Oh
like,
yeah.
What is going on there?" And of course, he's just like, "Yeah, I left him in a little too long." And Jules he's a special guy, so we're like, "Come on, man."
Quite delicious though.
I am gonna go back to the air fryer. I'm kind of living in the air fryer right now. Another staple at 4th Avenue. I'm gonna shout out Bear Evans here. I'm taking the pizza rolls, Totino's pizza rolls. Gotta have them.
It's a good one. Yeah, I'm gonna actually go off of that. I'm taking pizza bagels. Like
Ooh, bagel bites.
Bagel bites.
That's an OG snack from like elementary school. Oh, I think Hezzy and Morsoff said that they're like huge bagel pizza guys.
I can see that.
Yeah, college kids. Anyways, round 3. Where are we going here?
I'm gonna go start frozen. I'm gonna go pierogies.
Nice.
Wow.
I know some people don't like them. I love pierogies.
You got a sneaky good team loading up right now. You're kind of stacking some picks that might garner some votes.
What are your toppings on their pierogies?
I just go melted butter and salt and pepper.
Nice.
Keep it basic. I don't know. I'm not a big. I don't know what I just did. Not a big kind of like. Don't need to throw a ton of toppings. Just keep it simple. I don't know. I feel like if you got to add a ton of toppings to something, it's kind of like the main dish isn't that good.
I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that.
That's an amazing take. I think I am going to go my next pick away from the air fryer. I mean, I guess you could use the air fryer for this, but that's probably a little sacrilege. I prefer the microwave for these, and that would be a good frozen breakfast sandwich in the morning. Toss that.
Screw you.
Yeah.
Screw you. He does this every time.
I love it.
You told me to write it down.
No, I didn't. I swear to God.
I literally have Jimmy Dean sausage, egg, and cheese written down.
What can I say?
Mom.
Great minds think alike.
That's all right. I'm just going to take what you bought last week.
Oh, here we go.
I'll take frozen pot stickers.
Yeah, those things are gasoline. Although the only reason that I got those was Acme scanned me, low key. They put this like giant family size bag of pot stickers down on the bottom shelf, and the price tag said $10.99, and it's like solid make. I don't want to say 2 pounds, but like it's a fuck ton of pot stickers, and I'm like, that is a steal of a deal. That's gonna last like a month. I go to check out. It was not $10. It was $19.99, and I was like, that should be illegal. But it's okay. Now we have pot stickers in our freezer, so it's a good pickup. Good pickup there. Coming back around.
I don't know, I'm a mix between two different things, but yeah, I'm gonna go with frozen waffles.
You scumbag! Oh my gosh, I literally was just about to take that.
That's a good one.
Because I was saying I need something sweet on my team, and like a good Eggo waffle, unreal. Toss that in the toaster, let that thing get that syrup on there. Like, again, that's a childhood delight. Now I'm a little bit thrown off because I still kind of want to get something sweet on here. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with the good old fashioned popsicle.
Dude, did you? Is there a mirror? I just wrote popsicle.
I love this. I love this game. This is why we love the draft. The draft is awesome. But yeah, especially on a nice warm summer day. He's so mad at me. Especially on a nice warm summer day, like a good popsicle outside with all your friends coming in. Oh, nothing better. Nothing better.
F you, dude. I'm gonna take sorbet. I love a nice raspberry sorbet.
Okay. We're getting all of our frozen desserts
really
down.
mad right now.
Now I got to try to get his last pick. I just got to dig into the mind of Nick Marmando a little bit more.
You will not.
I don't want to. All right, last pick here. Rounding out your squad, what do we got?
Last pick. Gotta think. I just had a food. Now I kind of lost it. Hold on. Give me a second to regroup. Oh, I'm gonna go frozen mac and cheese.
Frozen mac
That's a
and
good
cheese.
one because I know exactly what you mean, and it is delicious. It's better than
I Trader Joe's. It's like this wide, probably like this thin. Just take it out, put it in the microwave for like 5.5 minutes. Put it, like, mix it up. Cheese is all melted. It's very good.
So good. You get the Jimmy Dean ones? I've had those before. The Jimmy Dean.
I have the Trader Joe's ones. But
Trader
I'm
Joe's.
Sure.
Can I just take the entire Trader Joe's frozen section? Can that be my last pick? Because I feel like there's just nothing that you can do wrong there.
No.
I think my last pick, I'm gonna go with something. This could be a hot take, but I think that it's very convenient to always have these, and I have these on stack a lot. I'm just gonna be broad with frozen fruit of any variety. Having a nice supply of, we got blueberries in there right now. If you get that mixed berry kit from Costco, that's delicious. We had frozen grapes in there for a while.
Very
that was
good.
a nice, awesome snack. Like, having frozen berries on hand, so convenient. They don't go bad, and they still taste delicious. And you got to get those vitamins and antioxidants in, baby. Health and fitness.
Throw them in a smoothie. You don't even need ice.
Exactly. Frozen fruit. Round out the squad.
Delicious.
I was between that, too. I think that's a really good pick.
Yeah.
Because,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
you got frozen grapes and frozen blueberries, too. Like, you can eat those regularly.
Yeah.
Really good. And then the rest you can just put in a smoothie, and it's 10 out of 10. It's a great pick.
Delicious. You could even, and I've done this before, I know you have, with grapes, you can put them in your water as the ice. And
I've never tried that.
As you're drinking, you just get grape flavor, and then when you're done, you just pop in your mouth. And
Yep. You don't water down your beverage. You get a nice little hint of that grapiness. So, little life hack there.
Great life hack.
Great.
Final pick for Team Mormando, we have French toast sticks. Frozen French toast sticks.
How did we let that slide?
It's a good classic. He had the waffles.
Yeah, I think that's what threw me off. Because I was also thinking like frozen pancakes, but I can't remember the last time I had a frozen pancake. It was always a waffle or the French toast sticks. I think the sign from my computer that I have low battery is the great transition that we have to the wrap-up of this episode. But first, we're going to do a little recap of our teams. Nick, would you like to lead us off?
Of course. Team Mormando with a strong frozen yogurt, bagel bites, frozen pot stickers, sorbet, and French toast sticks.
You really got a full gamut there. I'm impressed. From the number 3 spot.
I'm happy with sorbet. I love sorbet. But I don't think it needs to be there. I'm really upset popsicles is not on the list. Everything else I'm perfectly fine with.
You did bounce back from one of your worst draft performances.
Horrible.
In our last episode.
Horrible.
It was bad. What was it was with Kyle. What did we draft?
Pizza toppings.
Yeah, pizza toppings.
That's bad.
He absolutely fumbled the bag.
Because there's not 15 good ones.
I basically got to pick the meat lovers pizza, and I was like, I won.
Yeah.
But my squad here for frozen foods started off strong with the Dino Nuggets. Had to do it. Then we went to the 1-2 punch, Dino Nuggets and then pizza rolls. That's my backcourt. We got the breakfast sandwich down low, popsicles, getting us a little bit of sweetness, and rounding off with health and fitness and the frozen fruit. I love my team.
You have a very good team.
I think my team is like the ideal freezer, in my opinion. Like an ideal freezer right there. You got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Jake.
I got ice cream, tater tots, pierogies, Eggo waffles, and mac and cheese.
Solid.
Good list.
This is gonna be a tough vote.
You know, like I was gonna put like a frozen meat on there, but like no meat's really like frozen. Like obviously like, you can buy a piece of meat and just freeze it, but I just wanted like a piece of steak on my list.
Yeah, that's more just like convenience.
Yeah,
like freezing your steak so you don't have to cook it right away.
Yeah.
But that was a great draft.
That really was.
This was a fantastic episode. Amazing conversation. Jake, we really appreciate your time and your insight. It's crazy that like you're a junior in high school right now. and we're juniors in college, and I feel like we're all on the same wavelength right now.
Yeah.
Like, you're very, very mature, and we absolutely loved sitting down here and chopping it up with you. Before we sign off, are there any shout outs or any final words that you would like to say to our Lax Lounge audience?
No, I mean, great to come out with you guys, talk on here. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Thank you again for having me. Team 10, 20, 30s, they're on the rise.
Fuck yeah, they are. Hell yeah.
We end the episode with shouting out one person. He is a world-class rapper.
He's actually been dropping new music recently, too.
Every Friday he's been
7
dropping
p.m.
a new song. He's really on the rise. His name is Jules. You can find him. He's in our outro. We link him in our YouTube videos. Yeah, so shout out Jules.
We all say it. Give us a little shout out for Jules.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Shout out Jules.
Shout out Jules.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
I'll be up in the clouds, but I won't come down cause I'll be too faded. Everybody wanna walk that talk, wanna talk that talk like we made it. But they all gon' catch, swear to God I'll make the money right back. Bitches be trippin', don't know how to act. You just be singing, don't know how to rap. I really be running this shit like I'm Owen. She like a wave, I'm loving her motion. It's like I'm sipping straight up on the potion. Water be dripping and feel like the ocean. I know that I'm different cause I'm from the other side. She's saying that she want me, girl, that's capping, girl, you everything I ever did, all I do is right. You could never say it, cause you switched up and you lied. Yeah. Had to switch up and you lied. Yeah, I'll be stargazing, I'll be up in the clouds, but I won't come down cause I'll be too faded. Everybody wanna walk that talk, wanna talk that talk like we made it. But they all gon' catch, swear to God I'll make the money right back. Bitches be trippin', don't know how to